and welcome, I'm your Code Monkey. Here, let's learn all about the various types that exist. We've got ints, bools, floats, and so on. C# is a strongly typed language, which means data types. This is really crucial to understand. This is actually a lecture taken from my complete C# course. This is a 12-hour course covering everything about C#, everything from beginner to intermediate to advanced. There's a free 12-hour video over here on YouTube. Hello and welcome, I'm your Code Monkey. In this lecture, we're going to learn all about the various built-in data types that exist. Okay, so in the previous lecture, we learned about variables, which are essentially just data containers. And those containers, they need to have a specific type. There's a bunch of built-in types we can use. For example, some containers can only store whole numbers, other containers can store strings of text, then other ones can store the value either true or false, and some can store decimal numbers. So there's a bunch of interesting built-in types we can use. Here is the same demo that we saw in the previous lecture, with the sprite just bouncing up and down, and this one has a parameter for a movement speed. This one is defined as an int variable, so that means that over here we can only write whole numbers. If I try writing some text, nope, that does not work. If I try adding a decimal point, nope, I can't put it. Over here, since this type is of type int, it can only hold whole numbers. Here is the code that we wrote in the previous lecture. So I've got an int for an age, and over here, if I try assigning a decimal number, like let's say 35.5, and nope, this one has an error. Like I said, ints can only store whole numbers. If you want to store a decimal value, then one of the types we can use is a double. So we literally just swap int for double, and now this variable, this one is now of type double. And with this, yep, we have no error, so we can indeed write a value with a decimal point and everything works. Now there are actually three types that we can use for decimals. We can use float, double, or decimal. There's a nice table directly over here on the C# docs that shows the maximum numbers and precision, which is what affects all of those types. As you can see, they've got different sizes and different precision. The smallest one is a float, which is stored in just 4 bytes. Then a double is stored in 8 bytes, and a decimal in 16 bytes. And over here, we can see the precision. So basically, if you're dealing with something where precision is paramount, like for example, when dealing with money, for that, you really want to use the decimal type. But for all other use cases, you can either use a double or a float. In regular C# applications, I believe doubles are actually used most often, since in order to write a double, you really just put a decimal point, and yep, this one is a double. Whereas the other type, the float type, for this one, if you just define something with a decimal, nope, it does not work. This one shows an error. And the error is because if we just put a dot, then this one simply becomes a double. In order to make it an actual float, we need to append the F onto it. So like I said, in regular C# applications, I believe doubles are mostly used, since you don't even need to append anything, you just write the number. Whereas for floats, you need to append F. And in Unity game development, which is the thing that I do most of the logic is usually done with floats. So personally, that's the decimal type that I normally tend to use. Now for Unity beginners, one of the things that trips them up is forgetting to place the F at the end. Like we saw, if we don't do it, yep, we get an error because this is a double, and double is not automatically convertible into a float. So if you ever see an error like this, always remember that if you're defining a float, make sure to add F at the end. Okay, so these are the main types for holding decimals. And then there's also a bunch more types for holding whole numbers beyond int. Again, the documentation has a really nice table over here. So int is the one that you're probably going to use most often. This is a signed 32-bit integer. You can store values between minus 2.1 billion to plus 2.1 billion, but there are use cases where you don't need that much precision. There are some cases where you are memory limited, so you want to use as fewer bits as possible. So in those cases, you've got all of these values. And on the other hand, if you want to store a real large number, like for example, the age of the universe, for that, you would normally use either long or long. But for the most part, you will really just be using ints. So don't worry about the rest, just know that those also exist. And also, since we're talking about maximum and minimum, let me just show you what happens if you go above the maximum. So for example, here we've got age defined as an int. Now here we can give it the maximum value for an int. For that, we can access the int class and pass in a dot. This one lets us access a bunch of constants or functions inside the int class. Again, I will cover classes in detail in a future lecture. For now, over here, we can just check the max value. And this one is basically going to represent the largest possible value that we can store inside an int, which like we saw a while ago, the maximum is 2.1 billion. So let's do a console.writeLine on this one and see what the maximum is. And then let's do something interesting. So let's take the age and increment it by just 1, and let's print again and see what this one prints. And yep, that's the result. So basically first we've got the maximum, so 214, yep, this is the maximum value for an int. And then if we have that value and we increment it by just 1, then we get what is called an overflow, and essentially it really just loops back the value to the absolute minimum. So if you go past the maximum, you really just end up on the minimum. When working with data types, always make sure you define some type that is enough to store whatever value you need to store. Okay, so here we have ints and floats for most of our number needs. Then we can also do operations on them. So on a float, you can do a float times 2, something like this. you can do division, you can do addition, you can do subtraction, so all the usual things. Now, there are some quirks if you do some mathematical operation using different types, like for example floats and ints. I won't cover type conversions in a little bit, but in terms of numbers, usually you're going to work with mostly with ints and floats. And then another very important data type are strings. These are strings of text. So you define a string by typing in string, so just like the same as any other variable. Then let's call this one name, and let's assign a string value onto it. Now, when making a string, you do it using double quotation marks, and remember to add both the beginning and the ending quotation mark. And as usual, every instruction needs to end with a semicolon. So over here, do not make the mistake of putting the semicolon inside the quotation marks. This one is an error because over here we just have a string with a semicolon instead of having a semicolon to end the instruction. So don't make that mistake. And also, it's very important how these are double quotation marks. These are not the single quotation marks. These are completely different things. Those are used for another type that I'm going to cover in a little bit. So it's double quotation marks. We have the start, we have the end, and then inside we can write whatever text string we want. So for example, writing code monkey. And then we can do a console.writeLine, and let's print out our name variable. And if there it is, it prints exactly as intended. As for making some operations with strings, the most basic one is just appending or concatenating a string. For that, you just take a string and then do plus and then another string. Like for example, my name is, and then plus, and then the name. This is basically going to add this string onto the end of this string. If we run this, and if there you go, my name is Code Monkey. Okay, great. Now, also important over here are the spaces inside the quotation marks. These spaces do matter. If we don't put a space here, if there you go, it says is and then Code Monkey with no space between them. And on the other hand, if we add a ton of spaces, if there you go, now it adds a ton of spaces. So basically, just be aware that spaces do matter. These are not just empty. And then when concatenating strings, you can also use it to mix multiple types. So for example, our age up here. So we can do my name is, then plus and add the name onto it. Then we can add some more. Again, let's start by adding a space, and I'm another space, and then let's print the age, was years old. Okay, let's see this. And if there's our final string putting together all the values from all of our variables. So this is one way to do it. You basically just make one string, then plus, add another string, and so on. This is one way to do it. Or alternatively, you can use the string interpolation method. To use that one, you basically just put everything inside one string. So let's get rid of all the pluses and all of the things creating brand new strings. So let's write it just like this, except of course, just like this. This is just going to print my name is name and I'm 8 years old. So this is not what we want. For string interpolation, we have an entire string, and then before it, we add a $sign. And now inside it, whenever we have something that is a variable, we can add some curly braces, open and close them. Again, don't forget to open and close. Let's add on both these variables. And now if we print, if there it is, now it says the same thing. So these two are basically doing the exact same thing. They achieve the exact same output. You can either construct a long string by building different pieces and adding them onto one another, or you can just make an entire one and use string interpolation in order to define what is a value and what is a string. Also, here's yet another more advanced tip on strings. Let's say, for example, you want to store a string that contains quotation marks. So let's do a write line, and let's print my name is Code Monkey. But now let's say that I want to print some quotation marks directly in there. Now, if we do it like this, obviously there's an error. Basically, over here, we are starting and finishing one string, then over here, starting and finishing another one, and over here, we've got some symbols that C# does not understand. So this does not work. Basically, we do not want this quotation mark to end this first quotation mark. Instead, we want this one to be seen as just a character. So if you need to put quotation marks directly inside a string, for that, you can just go before it and add a backslash. And this is basically going to escape this character, which means it is going to consider it as text instead of interpreting as a string quotation mark. So we can just add that one to that one and to that one. And if there you go, exactly like this. And if there's a text in the string, does print with all the quotation marks. Okay, great. So another thing that I mentioned is how it's important that you use double quotation marks. The reason for that is because there is another type that is specific to single quotation marks, and that type is Char. That stands for some kind of character. And for that, you use the single quotation marks, and inside you can place a single character, like for example, the letter A. Again, this type only stores a character, so if I try putting a bunch more stuff, nope, does not work. This one only represents one character, so that's the only thing that I can store inside it. Now, another very important type is Boolean, or bool. So for that, you write bool, then give it some name, like let's say is player. And then for this one, there are only two values we can store inside a bool. It can be either true, or for example, let's say is enemy, and can be false. So the Boolean type can only have these two values, nothing else. And again, it's extremely important that you write the code exactly. So it's true like this, only in lowercase. It is not capital T true. Nope, this does not exist. It is not everything in true. Nope, does not exist. So it's all lowercase. Now this type Boolean, this one is extremely important in if statements and conditions, which we're going to see in detail in the next lecture. And there is one more special sort of type that you should know, although it's not really a type, and that is how simply instead of defining a specific type like bool, char, string, and so on, instead of that, you can just write var, then give it some kind of name, my variable, and then give it some kind of value. And basically with this, the compiler will essentially look at the value that is assigned and infer some type of type for this variable. So for example, for this one, since we assigned the value 10, this one correctly defined this variable as an int. Whereas if I put 10.2 for this one, now it correctly identifies it as a double. If I put an F, now it correctly identifies as a float. If I put false, and this one is now a bool. And if I put false in quotation marks, and this one is now a string. So rather than explicitly defining the type, if you want, you can just define it as var and let the compiler infer the type for you. Some people like this because it tends to make the code a little bit more compact, especially when we're working with complex names, when we're working with types like lists and so on. However, personally, I am not a fan of var. Personally, I like being as explicit as possible so that I know exactly what type I'm working with. So personally, I never use var. I always very explicitly write the type that I'm using, but there is nothing wrong with var. It's really just personal preference. So if you like using it, then by all means use it. Here is a demo that I built included in the interactive exercises. So we've got a bunch of values up here and a bunch of containers down here of various types. Now this value, the value 56, this one is selected and we need to place it in the correct container. Now if we try putting this in a boolean, nope, that does not work because this is not a boolean. This one is a whole number. So for whole numbers, we can place them inside the int container. Then over here, we've got a string. So this one cannot be a float, cannot be a bool. Nope, this one is a string. Then we've got false. This one is a boolean value. 7, this is a whole number. So let's put it inside the int. Iron Man, this is another string. Let's put it on string. Black Widow, same thing. It's a string. 35, this one is a whole number. So it goes into int. 33.3f, this one is a float. So go inside the floats. True, this is a boolean. So go in there. This one is a float. And this one is also a float. All right, all done. Go ahead and give it a try yourself and see if you get them all right. Now let's just see one more thing on types, which is type conversion. And we actually already saw that. If we do a console.writeLine, and on this one, let's print out the age. If we do this and run, there you go, it did print out the age. So the code is automatically converting our int age into a string that is printed onto the console. Basically, all types can be automatically converted into a string. Then you can also mix types together. For example, let's say number 5 plus and then a string saying number. And this code works. However, like I mentioned in the programming basics lecture, code runs from top to bottom, but also left to right. Meaning over here, let's see what happens if we place first the string number, then let's add the number 5, and then let's add the number 6. So let's see what this evaluates to. And there it is, a string number 56. Okay, great. However, now let's reverse the order. So let's put 5 plus 6, and then the string number. Now let's see what this one evaluates to. And there it is, now it says 11 number. So this is the difference between how the code runs from left to right. Basically over here, the code is going to see, okay, this is a string and this is an int, and the result from adding a string onto an int, the result from that is going to be a string. So this one is going to concatenate into the string number 5, and then it's going to have another string against another int, so it's going to add the 6 onto it. However, on this one, first left to right, it is going to check an int plus another int. That is a simple mathematical operation, so it is going to add these two numbers together, and then the result is an int, which then adds onto a string, so it is going to do string concatenation. So the second one ends up with 11 number, whereas the first one with number 56. So remember, code executes from top to bottom and left to right. Always keep that in mind. Now, in terms of converting to a string, anything can be converted onto a string. However, for other ones, some types can be converted into others automatically, some have to be done explicitly, and some can't be done at all. When it comes to numeric types, these can be automatically converted if the target type can hold that data. For example, over here, let's define a long, and over here, the value that we put doesn't really matter, so it doesn't have to be a massive value. And then if we define an int, and we try assigning this int onto the one that we had inside the long, and nope, this does not work. If we look at it, we see the error, which is you cannot implicitly convert a long onto an int. The reason for that, once again, goes back into this chart. The long type, this one can store a lot more values than the int can store. So because of that, the compiler does not let us automatically convert this because the conversion might imply some loss of data, and the compiler protects you from that. However, we can do the opposite, since over here the long, this one can store these many values, whereas the int can store this many. So basically a long can store everything inside an int and a bunch more. So because of that, we can do the opposite. So we can define age universe inside an int, and then for the long, we can put it age universe int, and this one does work. Again, that is because long can store more values than just the int, so we have a guarantee that whatever we define inside the int can be stored inside a long. And then same thing for doubles and floats. Doubles have more precision, so we can store a float inside a double, but we cannot do the opposite. And also, like we saw, we cannot have an int and assign it some kind of decimal value. This does not work. However, like the error says here, these are implicit conversions. However, we can be explicit and it will force a conversion, even though it might end up with a loss of data. And the way we do that is we just cast it onto a type. So we open parentheses, we put the target type and then close it. So this is a cast. I'm actually going to cover casting in more detail later on in this course. If we do it, nope, we no longer have an error. However, like I said, you might end up with a loss of data. For example, over here we are forcing the 35.5 to be placed inside an int. So let's see what this actually returns. So let's do a console.writeLine. Let's see what this prints. And if there you go, it prints 35. Since ints can only store whole numbers, basically when it gets to the decimal point, it just ignores everything out of it. Importantly, it does not round the value. So even if I put this 35.9, nope, it still says just 35. So basically when we are forcing the conversion onto an int, it is basically going to ignore everything after the decimal point. Now on this topic, one of the most common mistakes that beginners make is actually when dividing ints. So for example, let's say the player has some kind of health and it's stored in an int. Let's say they currently have 1 health, and then let's say they've got a health max and the health max is 10, and then you're trying to normalize this value, so you do health divided by health max. So now what do you think this will actually output? In theory, the mathematical answer would be 0.1, so we've got 1 divided by 10, that should be 0.1. But nope, here the result is 0. Again, it's the exact same reason, it's because of type limitations. We are dividing an int by another int, so the result of that calculation will also be an int, and inside an int we cannot store the value 0.1, so it does the same thing that we saw a while ago, it ignores the decimals and just stores the whole number, which in this case just ends up storing 0. Now in solution to this problem is really simple, we just need to convert one of these values into a float, so we can just cast it onto a float. So now here we have some math doing between a float and an int, so the final result will be a float, and if we test, yep, now it does return the correct result 0.1. So if you ever have any strange results when doing calculations, always double check that you're using the correct type so you're not losing any data. And like I said, there are some types you can convert even with a cast. For example, you cannot forcefully cast a false onto an int. This does not work. And same thing for a string onto a number. Nope, this does not work. If you do want to convert a string onto a number, for that you have 2 methods. One method is using a class called convert, and then inside it converts a whole bunch of functions in order to convert from all kinds of types. Like for example, convert to int32, which is going to be the regular int. The int64, this one is going to be the long, and the int16, this one is a short. If you're wondering what those numbers are, it's over here, it's the size of the actual value. So the int, that is a 32-bit int, whereas the long is a 64-bit and so on. And on the right side, we can actually see the full name for the types. What we see on the left type is usually what we use, but these are really just aliases. The actual types are the ones over here. So an int is really a system.int32, a long is really a system.int64 and so on. So anyways, yep, here we have a whole bunch of functions. And again, don't worry about what are functions for now, I'll cover them in detail in future lectures. But if we were to use this function, then we can indeed convert the value 56 into the health. And yep, this does work. Although of course this only works if the string actually has a number. If you write something, you're actually going to get an error. Alright, so that's a lot of info on variables, data types, and type conversion. This is one of the most important part of the basis of programming, so definitely make sure you fully understand this topic before going further. If you need, go ahead and rewatch this lecture to really solidify this knowledge. It is really important that you fully understand variables and types before going any further. Next, we're going to learn another extremely important part of programming, if statements and conditions. So let's learn that in the next lecture. Alright, I hope you learned a lot from this lecture. Like I mentioned, there's a completely free 12-hour YouTube video covering everything from C# from beginner to advanced. Or if you want to go deeper, if so, you can pick up the premium version, which includes a bunch of bonuses, the main one being a companion project. This one basically contains interactive exercises, it contains quizzes and FAQs for every single lecture in the course. The interactive exercises, these specifically, they are really excellent because they basically force you to learn by doing. They require you to actually write code as opposed to just passively watching a video, which in turn means it helps you actively learn the context of each lecture, and that ensures you are actually genuinely learning. The premium version is paid, so if you can afford it, that's awesome. It will definitely help you a lot in your learning journey. But if you can't afford it, that's fine. Just watch this free lecture right here, and then check out the free 12-hour video on YouTube. And after you get past the complete beginner stage, after that, check out my problem-solving course. This one helps you learn basically the most valuable skill of all. It is a skill that is absolutely required if you want to get a 6-figure job. So yep, check it out in the link in the description. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.